Discover Ginger's incredible 10-year journey, a touching birthday surprise and life-changing football adventure. Ginger Taylor was a spark of joy in the small farming town of Brooksville, Ohio. As she skipped down the gravel road with the sun warming her wild curls, her laughter echoed like a chorus of happiness. Yet, looming over her family was the heavy weight of bills and the relentless hours spent on their shrinking farm. Each day they toiled in the field, their fate tied to the stubborn soil that had been their home for generations. But as her 10th birthday approached, Ginger had a dream. She longed to join the local soccer league, to dash across the field beneath wide-open skies, her heart racing with every kick of the ball. The excitement bubbled inside her like a fresh soda pop. Her vivid daydreams filled her mind with visions of teammates and cheering crowds, but her parents seemed to dwell in a different world of worries. One chilly afternoon, she overheard her mother talking to Mr. Jenkins about money troubles. "We just can't afford it," her mother sighed, crushing Ginger's dreams like a forgotten flower. As tears stung her eyes, she felt an ache in her heart, a sense of isolation swallowing her whole. "Why can't they just understand?" she thought, feeling so alone and misunderstood. Days passed and the friction grew. Ginger approached her mother, hoping to plead her case. Instead, a miscommunication turned into an argument. "You don't care about what I want," Ginger screamed, her words echoing with hurt. Her mother turned pale, eyes widening with shock and disappointment. How could they drift so far apart? The tension in the Taylor house felt like the waiting storm, heavy in the air, thick and suffocating. Then disaster struck. On a hot, blistering afternoon, a terrible accident on the family farm sent Ginger's world reeling when her father was hurt. The news spread like wildfire through town. "He'll be okay," Ginger whispered, though every ounce of her believed otherwise. She felt a swell of fear mixing with guilt, remembering the harsh words she'd hurled at her mother. In the rush of emotion, her heart felt both shattered and hopeful as neighbors arrived to lend a hand. It was a testament to their tight-knit community, bringing meals, help, and hugs, solid reminders of love in hard times. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A few days before her birthday, her soccer teammates, a bunch of spirited girls, rallied together for something special. They planned a surprise party to honor Ginger's unwavering spirit, a flicker of light in the darkness. The anticipation and community support painted a vivid picture of hope against despair. But as the birthday approached, Ginger felt the unresolved tension with her mother hanging like a shadow over everything. On the cusp of her birthday, Ginger's heart ached for reconciliation. Would she and her mother find their way back to each other, navigating through hurt and misunderstanding? Or would they let miscommunication pull them further apart? The soccer field became the backdrop for all that she dreamed of, a symbol of possibility. With a deep breath, Ginger steeled herself. She was ready to confront her feelings, but would courage carry her across the finish line before the final whistle blew? Ginger woke up on the morning of her birthday, the light streaming through the window and dancing across her face. Today was supposed to be special. Today was supposed to change everything. She sat up, heart pounding gently, thinking about the surprise her friends had planned. But as her feet touched the cool floor, the weight of her mother's disappointment hung heavy on her shoulders. The scent of pancakes wafted through the air, pulling her from her thoughts. Ginger padded into the kitchen where her mother stood, a smile crumbling at the edges. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," her mother said, her voice soft yet strained. Ginger offered a small smile, her heart torn between the joy of the day and the chasm that seemed to lie between them. They ate breakfast in silence, the ticking clock a reminder of the time slipping away. Every bite felt heavy in her mouth. Would today be the day they found their way back? Or would it simply carry the weight of everything unsaid? After breakfast, Ginger decided it was time to go for a walk. She slipped on her favorite sneakers and stepped outside, the sun greeting her like an old friend. The road felt familiar but odd today, the vibrant colors of spring unable to capture her mood. As she walked to the soccer field, She thought about how much she longed to share the joy of the game with her mother. She wanted her to see how alive she felt when she ran, how free, how powerful a kick made her feel. As she approached the field, the laughter of her teammates floated through the air, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. They spotted her and rushed to her side, arms wide open, eyes twinkling with excitement. Surprise! They yelled, balloons bobbing in the breeze. Ginger's heart lifted as she soaked in their enthusiasm. The tension began to melt away, if only for a moment. "Look what we made!" shouted one of the girls, holding out a homemade banner that read "Happy Birthday, Ginger." It was crooked and charming, just like their friendship. Ginger felt like she was floating, carried by their love and laughter. They played games, kicked the soccer ball until the sun sank low in the sky, painting the evening in shades of orange and purple. But inside, another storm brewed. Ginger couldn't shake the feeling that until she spoke to her mother, this happiness would always feel incomplete. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she made a decision. She would find the courage to talk to her, to really talk, not just the polite small talk they'd been doing. With a deep breath, she pulled her friends together. "I need to go home for a bit." "I'll be back," she said, determination lacing her words. They nodded, sensing her gravity, and she left the vibrant field behind, returning to the home that felt both comforting and distant. As she reached her front door, fear clawed at her. What if things didn't go as she hoped? Taking a moment, she steadied herself, remembering the power she felt out on the field. When she entered, her mother was in the other room, packing away some leftover breakfast. Ginger's heart raced. Would she find the right words? Was it too late? With every step, the walls felt like they were closing in. But Ginger knew she couldn't turn back now. "Mom," she called, her voice trembling, "can we talk?" At that moment, the world around her seemed to pause, every question teetering between hope and dread. Would this lead to a breakthrough, or perhaps a greater misunderstanding? The answer loomed just out of reach, but Ginger was ready to find out. Ginger took a deep breath, her hand trembling slightly as she gripped the doorframe for support. The kitchen was filled with the sounds of her mother moving about, and the clatter of dishes only added to the anxiety swirling in her chest. The silence that hung in the air felt heavy, weighted by years of unspoken words. It took her mother a moment to turn around, surprise flitting across her features. "Of course, sweetie," she said, her voice soft but distant. She paused, a flicker of apprehension in her eyes. "What's on your mind?" Ginger's throat tightened. She could see the tired lines on her mother's face, the worry etched there that mirrored her own. "It's my birthday," she began, but the phrase felt so inadequate. "But I feel like things aren't right between us." Her mother's gaze dropped, and Ginger felt a pang in her heart. "I know," she finally whispered, her voice cracking. "I've been thinking about it too." It was as if an invisible barrier was breaking, but doubt lingered in the air like a heavy fog. "I just want," Ginger searched for the right words. "I want us to be close again. I miss being able to talk to you. I miss you." With each word, her voice grew steadier, fueled by a longing that had been locked away for too long. Her mother inhaled sharply, a single tear slipping down her cheek. "Oh, Ginger, I miss you too. I didn't know how to make it better. After your father. Things have just been so hard." Her voice trembled. "I didn't want to burden you." Ginger took a step closer, feeling that moment of which she had always dreamed, an honest exchange. "I want to share things with you, Mom. I want you to see me play soccer and understand how much it means to me. I need you to be there." The tension in her mother's shoulders eased just a bit. "I want to be there. I've been afraid I wouldn't know how to support you. I didn't want to let you down." In that moment, Ginger realized they both had been holding back, scared of hurting one another even more. "Maybe we could start fresh?" she suggested, a smile breaking through the weight in her heart. "We can learn together, talk about the hard stuff. Doesn't he have to feel so lonely?" A hesitant smile inched its way onto her mother's face. "I'd like that." They stood in a fragile silence, tears mingling with a sense of relief. A fresh start on the horizon. Ginger extended her hand, a small gesture of hope. Her mother took it, and for the first time in a long while they truly connected. "I'll show you my practice tomorrow," Ginger said, a small thrill of excitement bubbling in her chest. "It'll be fun. Plus, I need someone to cheer for me when I score a goal." Her mother chuckled softly. "You'll have me cheering the loudest." But Ginger knew that the path from there would still be rocky. She needed to address the lingering shadows that had hung over them. And what about talking about Dad? She ventured softly. Her mother's smile vanished for a moment, the painful reminder surfacing like a ghost. Yes, we should talk about him too. I've kept it in for so long. As they stood there, the weight of their sacrifices and secrets hovered, promising both pain and healing. Ginger's heart was racing again. But this time it felt lighter, infused with a hope that had seemed unreachable just moments before. They were beginning to navigate through the darkness. Could this be the turning point they needed? "Mom, thank you for listening," she whispered, her eyes shining with unspoken determination. But as they both moved forward, Ginger couldn't shake the feeling that they still had so much more to unravel. What would it entail to dive into the depths of their past? Would they find the strength to face it together? The next morning dawned bright and clear, the sun slipping through the curtains to bathe Ginger's room in golden light. She stretched, her chest fluttering with a mix of excitement and nerves. Today was a fresh start. Her soccer practice was a mere few hours away, and she still couldn't believe her mom was planning to come watch. As she stood in front of the mirror, Ginger brushed her hair back and took a moment to admire the girl staring back at her. With her heart racing, she wondered if today they would really start to mend their relationship. She felt a resolve knitting itself in her core. They were going to face the truth together. But what if it hurt too much? Ginger pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on the game ahead. Soccer was her escape, a world where she could run freely and score goals without looking back. It's where the weight of her worries felt lighter. She walked into the kitchen, the smell of pancakes wafting in the air. Her mom stood at the stove, flipping them one by one, as if throwing them into the air to dance. The mundane scene settled Ginger's nerves a bit. They exchanged smiles, both trying to convey that yesterday's connection wasn't just a fleeting moment. "Good morning, birthday girl," her mom chirped, sliding a plate towards her. "Just remember, the louder the cheer, the better you'll play." Ginger grinned, inhaling the sweet aroma, already feeling energized. "I promise I'll play my best. Can you maybe bring a little sign, so I know who's rooting for me?" Her mom's eyebrows lifted in surprise, but then she chuckled softly. "A sign? I can do that. What should it say? Something fun like Go Ginger? Or scoring goals and taking names?" Ginger laughed. They were laughing together now, a sign of things shifting, of a newly blossomed bond. As they took turns coming up with silly phrases, the tension of last night began to dissolve like sugar in warm water. But, as Ginger balanced her excitement, a quiet echo loomed in the back of her mind, the impending conversation about her dad. After breakfast, they settled on the couch, the soft fabric inviting as they both sank into its embrace. It was time to acknowledge the shadow that lingered between them. "Mom," Ginger began cautiously, "are you ready to talk?" Her mother sat up straight. There was a flash of determination in her eyes, a hope that mirrored Ginger's own. "I think so," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "It won't be easy, but we can do this together." Ginger nodded. "We should. I don't want to hide from it anymore." Her mother took a deep breath, looking off into the distance, as if searching for the right words. "Your father, he was everything to us. Losing him was like walking around without a heart. I didn't know how to explain that to you, while you were still trying to understand your own pain." Ginger could feel the weight of her mother's words, heavy and bittersweet, like a warm embrace filled with sorrow. "I didn't understand it all back then. I just felt shattered. I thought if I looked away maybe it wouldn't hurt so much." The silence hung like a palpable thread between them. Ginger's heart raced, not just from the rawness of their conversation, but the openness it had necessitated. She could see her mother fighting back tears as she navigated her memories. "We have to keep talking," Ginger urged softly, fighting against the creeping vulnerability. They sat together, poured out the emotions that had been bottled up for too long, the joys, the regrets, and the love. With each word, a tiny piece of healing unfolded. But just as the air felt lighter, her mother's phone buzzed incessantly on the table. "It's probably Grandma," she said apologetically, reaching for it. The moment felt fragile and Ginger's heart thudded in her chest. Could we keep talking later? Maybe after practice?" Her mother nodded, urgency in her gaze. "Of course. Just let us make sure we continue this, okay? It's vital." Ginger's eyes sparkled with something more anticipation of what lay ahead. They were starting to fix the broken pieces. Yet in that fragile moment of reconnection, a fear flickered within her. What if the more they spoke of the past, the more it dictated their future? As her mother answered the call, Ginger felt this rush to act. Maybe if they could unlock the past together. The shadows wouldn't feel so daunting. Determined, she stood up and got her gear ready, adrenaline quickly building. Today would be a day of soccer, of cheers and uncertainties. "See you there, Mom," she called back, but deep down she realized that the hardest part was yet to come. What other secrets lay buried beneath their history? Would the conversation about her father lead them to a brighter future? Or would it push them apart even more? Ginger grabbed her soccer bag and headed for the door, her heart pounding with anticipation. She loved practicing with her teammates, where the rhythm of the ball against her foot drowned out all doubts and worries. With each step away from the house, she felt lighter, yet the weight of that conversation loomed in her mind. As she arrived at the field, she was greeted by the familiar sounds of cleats squishing in the grass and laughter ringing through the air. The sun shimmered brightly, a vibrant backdrop to the excited shouts of her friends. Instinctively she scanned the crowds, searching for her mom. There, near the bleachers, she spotted her, a colorful sign in hand, "Go Ginger. Let us score those goals." Swelling with pride, Ginger waved, and her mom's smile was infectious. That smile anchored her amidst a tempest of emotions. She felt she was finally ready to play not just soccer, but to face the truth waiting for her afterward. Minutes later, the whistle blew and they were off, dashing down the field. Ginger felt the adrenaline surge through her veins. Her worries: will my mom really stay after practice? And what will we talk about? Sliding away with every stride. The world around her faded. Yes, she had butterflies, but they vanished in the exhilaration of the game. She scored her first goal, an electrifying rush that drew cheers from the sidelines. Her mother's voice rang louder than anyone's, "That's my girl." The joy wrapped around her like a warm blanket. But just as she savored that moment, a pang of guilt reminded her of the conversation that awaited them. How could something so healing also feel so frightening? The game flowed effortlessly, her teammates feeding off her energy. There was a sense of unity that pushed them forward, the perfect symbol of what she wished to build with her mom. The game ended in a draw, but the real victory for Ginger was the bond she felt strengthen on and off the field. As the teams gathered for a cool down, she couldn't shake the feeling of apprehension. This was a turning point. Would this conversation with her mom mend their relationship or throw them back into chaos? The uncertainties rushed in again, just as her teammates hugged her, celebrating her standout performance. "Ginger, you were amazing out there," one friend exclaimed, throwing an arm around her shoulders. "You're a total superstar." "Thanks. But it wasn't just me. We all did great," Ginger replied, though inside she grappled with the weight of impending truth. After waves of goodbyes and excitement, she made her way to her mom, who stood waiting with an open smile that hinted at pride and expectation. Ginger felt the knot in her stomach tighten, the fear surfacing anew. "Ready?" her mom asked, sensing the shift in Ginger's demeanor. Ginger hesitated, glancing at the ground, and then back up to her mom's eyes. They held all the love and apprehension she felt bubbling in her chest. "Yeah, let us do it." As they walked back toward their home hand in hand, the path felt longer than ever. Each step drummed to the beat of Ginger's anxious heart. The conversation was just on the horizon, a storm waiting to break. Would they both emerge from it stronger? Or would they drown in the depths of their shared grief? With the flirtation of happiness mingling with fear, Ginger knew she had to be brave. She had to be ready for whatever was waiting to burst forth. What would they uncover when they peeled back the layers of their memories? Would the truth bring them closer or shatter their fragile reconnection all over again? The door creaked open as Ginger and her mom stepped inside, the familiar scent of home wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. The living room was bathed in warm light, softening the edges of their tension. Ginger's heart raced as they settled onto the couch, the silence amplifying the emotions hanging in the air. "Ginger," her mom started, her voice shaky yet filled with determination. "I know I've been distant. I'm so proud of you for everything you're doing with soccer, but I want to talk about us." Ginger bit her lip, the knot in her stomach twisting tighter. "Us? Yeah, I felt it too." She could already sense her mother's realization that this was so much more than a simple conversation about soccer. Sometimes I feel like I haven't been there for you the way you needed, her mom continued. I thought that if I buried myself in work it would make things better, but instead I think I've made them worse. Ginger's heart sank. Behind her mom's busy schedule was a woman grappling with her own loss. A feeling Ginger had felt far too often, the silence between them as loud as thunder. And you? Ginger hesitated, her breath hitching. You didn't have to go through this alone. I wanted to help you, but I didn't know how. Her mom sighed, a tremor of gratitude and pain in her voice. I thought if I acted strong you'd be okay. But I see now that strength doesn't come from shutting others out. I should have let you in. Tears pricked at Ginger's eyes. This revelation felt like the sun breaking through a long winter. I was scared to reveal my own feelings too. I thought if I talked about Dad it would hurt us both, but it just made everything feel heavier. The air between them felt softer now, as if a weight had lifted. They ventured into the territory of shared memories, recalling moments of laughter and love that filled their past before sorrow seeped in like a shadow. Each recollection was a stepping stone, inching them toward healing. What if? Ginger whispered, almost afraid to voice it. What if we made a promise? A promise to talk, to really talk whenever we're struggling? Her mom's eyes sparkled with unshed tears, full of hope. I love that idea. We can find our way back to each other step by step. The conversation flowed more easily now, laughter slipping through the cracks of their sorrow like sunlight. Ginger recounted her soccer game, her mother laughing along with her excitement, celebrating each victory along the way. As they settled into the comfort of shared stories, Ginger suddenly remembered her mom's sign from earlier. You always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself, she said softly, a smile spreading across her face. And I always will, her mom replied, her voice thick with emotion. No matter what happens, I'm here. I'm sorry for not showing it sooner. With each word, the tension that had built for so long dissolved, leaving behind a fragile but beautiful connection. Just as Ginger thought they had reached a good place, a shadow flickered across her mom's eyes. But Ginger, there's something else I need to tell you. A chill shot through Ginger's spine. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity. What do you mean? I've been keeping something from you. Something about your father. The warmth that had enveloped them suddenly felt distant, replaced by an oncoming wave of uncertainty. What else could she learn? Would it change everything again? Ginger's stomach churned as she met her mother's gaze. There was a weight behind those eyes. It was an enigma loaded with emotions she couldn't decipher. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mom took a shaky breath, her fingers intertwining as if she were gathering strength. You know how your father left us? I've tried to protect you from the pain of it all, but I think it only made things worse. The vulnerability in her mom's voice sent a shiver through Ginger. I know he left, she stammered, memories fluttering back, lonely nights filled with unanswered questions. But what else is there? I've never told you why, her mom finally confessed, her voice breaking. It's not just that he walked away. There was more at play than I ever let on. A heaviness settled in the room. Ginger's heart pounded in her chest. Each word felt like too much. What do you mean? Her mom closed her eyes, taking a moment to gather composure. Your father had issues, personal struggles that he couldn't face. Not just with us but with himself. He didn't know how to ask for help. He thought leaving would protect you from his demons. But the truth is, it only passed the burden on to me. Ginger's mind raced, grappling with new information. She'd always viewed her dad's departure as a choice, a cruel measure. But the idea that he was consumed by battles of his own made her feel a mixture of empathy and anger. So, you think he left because he was scared? Yes, her mom said softly, nodding her head. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I believe he thought he was doing what was best. Crazy wasn't the right word. It felt reckless, selfish. Tears began to sting Ginger's eyes. I wanted him to stay to fight for us. I did too, her mom admitted, her voice thick with regret. I wanted him here. I thought that if we pretended everything was fine we'd be okay. But the silence just pushed us apart. Ginger inhaled sharply, the pieces of their broken family finally falling into place. Did you ever think he would come back? No, her mom replied, the melancholy in her voice unmistakable. And that's why I tried to fill the void with work, with anything but reality. But it never helped. I just watched you hurt too. As the silence enveloped them again, Ginger felt her heart throbbing with renewed understanding. Mom, we can't keep pretending either. I don't want to hide from the hard stuff anymore. A small smile broke through her mom's tears. Then let us not. Let us face it together. Ginger felt a sense of solidarity rise within her, guiding her through the darkness. It wouldn't be easy, but maybe, just maybe, they could build something stronger together. But just as that hope began to surge, the weight of her mom's words sank deeper into Ginger's thoughts. What had her dad truly struggled with? Would revealing it fan the flames of pain or open a door to understanding? Mom, if we're going to do this, we have to know everything, she said, her voice steady. I can't walk around carrying this weight anymore. Her mom's expression shifted, the sadness mingling with a flicker of fear. Ginger, are you sure? Not all the memories are good. Just tell me, Ginger insisted, her heart racing with determination. I can handle it. As her mother opened her mouth to speak, a sudden knock on the door broke the moment. Ginger's heart raced all over again as the uncertainty loomed. Who could it be now? Was the next part of the story going to complicate their vulnerable moment further? Or would it serve as a lifeline? Ginger flinched at the knock, her heart racing wildly. It felt so jarring. A sudden interruption in the whirlwind of emotions that filled the room. Her mom's anxious eyes mirrored her own fear, both of them frozen in the fragile moment they had just begun to share. Should I get it? Her mom asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ginger hesitated, the truth on the tip of her tongue, but she nodded. Yeah, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just the mailman. As her mother stood up, the weariness in her movements spoke volumes. Ginger liked to believe she was strong, that she could handle whatever truth her mom was hiding. But the anxiety creeping in from outside the door threatened to unravel all she had pieced together. Her mother opened the door slowly, and it swung wide enough for a familiar figure to step inside. Ginger blinked hard, her breath catching in her throat. It was her older brother Chase, the one who had left for college and hardly returned since their dad had disappeared from their lives. Surprise, Chase said, spreading his arms wide with a grin that was just as infectious as ever. But Ginger couldn't shake the feeling that the jolt of joy was false, too bright against the heaviness that had just settled in that small room. Chase, she exclaimed, trying to mask her mixed emotions. Hey sis, I figured it was about time I showed up. He walked over to give her a half-hearted hug, sensing the tension immediately. Did you just come for the day? Her voice was strained. There was an urgency in her that wanted to know if he was back for good or if he too was walking away like their father did. Yeah, just for today. Thought I'd pop in, see how things are going, he said, stuffing his hands in his pockets. Chase's demeanor was light, yet something lingered beneath the surface, a disturbance unspoken. Just then their mom cleared her throat. Chase, we were in the middle of a conversation. Chase's face shifted. The weight in the room thickened again. Oh, about what? About Dad, Ginger replied before she could stop herself. The word hung in the air, heavy with dread. Chase stiffened. I don't want to talk about him right now. Can we focus on I need to talk about him? Ginger blurted, surprising even herself. We've been pretending for too long, and I'm tired of it. Mom was about to share everything. Her brother paused, a surprised expression flickering across his face. Everything? Ginger, do you really want to go down that road? Yes, Ginger insisted, tears pressing at the back of her eyes. A silence stretched uncomfortably between them. Chase looked at their mom, his expression clouded, as if he were weighing his decision. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, Dad wasn't perfect. We've all been running from the truth. His voice was steady now, but the hurt in it echoed painfully. Ginger felt the walls around her heart tighten. I want to know, Chase. Don't we owe it to ourselves to face it? Chase sighed heavily, glancing from Ginger to their mom and back again. Fine. But I'm warning you. It's not going to be what you want to hear. Try me, Ginger said, resolve hardening in her chest. As the tension escalated, Ginger couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was about to be unveiled would change everything she thought she knew about her family. The silence was unnerving as they waited for Chase to speak, each heartbeat resounding like a countdown. What secrets were buried beneath years of silence? What truths were waiting to be unleashed in the air thick with expectation? Okay, here we go. Chase took a deep breath, ready to expose the past, and all Ginger could do was brace herself for the truth that lay ahead. Chase shifted on his feet, the silence deepening like a thick fog. Ginger's heart raced as she searched his face for any sign of what was coming. Her mom stood beside her, a slight tremor in her hands as she crossed her arms. "Remember when Dad left?" Chase finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. The question hung between them, heavy and suffocating. "We were all shattered, but you were so young. It was hard for you to understand." Ginger swallowed, memories flooding back her dad's last days in the house. How he often seemed distant. "I remember," she whispered. "But I don't want just memories. I want the truth." Chase exhaled slowly, his eyes casting downward as if he were battling with himself. Dad. He had his reasons for leaving. It wasn't just because he was unhappy. There were things going on that we didn't know about. Ginger felt a knot twist in her stomach. "What do you mean? What things?" He hesitated again. He struggled with a lot of stuff. Work, depression, and he turned to substances. Not just alcohol, things that hurt him, hurt us. Each word felt like a blow, landing painfully, breaking pieces of her already fragile heart. She looked to her mother, who was biting her lip, tears welling in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me this sooner?" Ginger asked, her voice rising. "I've been living with all this anger, thinking he just chose to abandon us." Her mother stepped in, her voice trembling as she found the courage to speak. "We tried to protect you, Ginger. We thought it would be better for you not to know the depths of his struggles." "Better?" Ginger shook her head, frustration boiling over. "You mean worse?" "It's worse because I didn't understand any of it. I felt like I was right in my anger, but really I was just confused." Chase reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. "It's not just you. We all felt lost. And now it's our turn to face it. Together." The gravity of the situation descended, leaving Ginger unable to think clearly. The truth felt like 1,000 shards of glass inside her head. "Did you ever think he might come back?" "Sometimes I did," Chase admitted, his voice thick. "But most of the time I knew. He was trapped. The dad you remember, he wasn't the man he wanted to be." Tears trickled down Ginger's cheeks. "I just want to know why he didn't try harder for us. Why he didn't fight it." Chase dropped his gaze, the air thickening with unspoken understanding. "He was fighting a battle that you couldn't see, Ginger. And in the end he lost. We've all lost pieces of ourselves to that." Ginger felt like the walls were closing in around her, the tangled web of resentment, pain, and sorrow tightening around her heart. Just when she thought she could handle it all, one more question dug itself up. What if there are still pieces we can find? What if he is still alive? Her brother's eyes widened slightly, and the room fell into a stillness that felt charged with anticipation. "I don't know," he admitted quietly, "but what if he is out there, needing help or worse?" Panic surged. The thread of hope and despair intertwined, creating a gut-wrenching tension. Ginger felt a mix of fear and determination. "Then we have to find out. We owe it to him, to ourselves, to face whatever's waiting for us." Chase nodded slowly. The resolution hardened in her chest like steel. They were in this together, searching for truths, facing fears. The truth loomed closer, but the possibility of finally understanding their dad felt overwhelming. As she took a deep breath, a chilling realization hit her with unsettling urgency. They were about to embark on a journey to unearth not just memories, but a past that had always been shrouded in darkness. "Are you ready, Chase?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside her. "I guess we have to be." "No turning back now," he replied, the weight of the moment heavy between them. But she couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that this was only the beginning, and that the truths they sought might lead to places darker than they ever imagined. What secrets inhabited the void of their father's absence? What awaited them on this path they were now bound to follow? Ginger, Chase, and their mom sat in stunned silence, the enormity of uncovering their father's mysteries hovering in the air. Ginger's heart raced, a whirlwind of hope and dread colliding within her. They had barely scratched the surface of their complicated past, yet the weight of it felt almost unbearable. "Okay, let us take this step by step," Chase said, his voice a steady anchor amid the chaos. "What do we know about Dad's struggles? What do we want to find? That's where we start." Ginger glanced at her mom, who still stirred in a mix of emotions but nodded. I think we should start from the beginning, from what I know, and what I tried to keep from you both. I want to know everything, Ginger insisted firmly, her voice steady. I don't want to feel lost anymore. Her mom took a deep breath. We have to dig into the past. It's messy and painful, but it's vital for us to truly heal. And with that, Ginger sensed a shift. This was more than just confrontation. It was an awakening. For hours they talked about the year when everything changed, when their dad started unraveling. Memories poured out, weaving a narrative of a man who had once been so vibrant, now shrouded in shadows. As they unraveled each story, Ginger slowly began to understand the burden and the reasons behind their father's absence. Chase shared moments he had witnessed, snippets of sadness that seemed to linger in the house when he was home from college. Words like addiction and depression echoed hauntingly, but were filled with empathy. He was a dad who wanted to love us, Chase admitted. But he got lost on the way. Ginger felt a mix of anger and aching compassion. Why didn't he tell us? Why didn't he reach out for help? He thought he was protecting us, her mom responded. In reality, he only pushed us further away. As the final threads of sharing were woven into the space between them, the three of them clung to the warmth of connection. Each truth felt powerful, raw, but necessary. I think it's time we do something, Ginger said, her heart pounding with determination. We can't keep waiting for answers in the shadows. We need to find him. It's time to face whatever it is. Chase gazed at her with newfound respect. You're right, he agreed. This isn't just about knowing. It's about reclaiming our story. Her mom took a long breath, fortitude emerging on her face. If we're doing this, we do it together. We can't turn back now. In that moment, Ginger felt a surge of unity coursing through them, an unbreakable bond forged in their shared history, their loss, and now their shared mission. The next few weeks turned into a whirlwind of preparations. They researched, reached out to old friends, and even explored corners of their past they had buried. Tears flowed, laughter erupted unexpectedly, and the conversations that had once felt heavy turned into shared memories, both joyous and painful, as they rediscovered who their father was. Finally, one chilly afternoon, they unearthed a lead. An old friend from his past had heard whispers of a man struggling but searching for redemption. They shared his last known whereabouts, a small town just outside Brooksville. Do you think he'll be there? Ginger's voice trembled with hope and fear as their mom held the printed address tightly. I don't know, but it's worth a shot, right? If he's still out there, if he's still fighting, Chase replied, a spark igniting in him. Their mom nodded. We'll support each other no matter what we find. So one bright Saturday morning, they piled into their small family car, filled with a mix of unease and anticipation. Ginger felt a sense of hope surging within her. This was no longer a journey of hurt. It was a path to understanding, forgiveness, and perhaps even healing. As they drove away from Brooksville, the familiar sights blurred into new horizons, symbolizing their shared commitment to uncovering the truth. With each mile that stretched before them, Ginger felt lighter, more alive. Eventually, they arrived at the quaint town, its streets filled with sunlight and possibility. But amidst the beauty of the surroundings, Ginger felt the weight in her heart returning. What if their father had not changed? What if he had? Could they face the man he had become? As they stepped into the local cafe, which bore a familiar name from her father's stories, Ginger held her breath, hope mixed with fear forming a knot in her throat. The memories and truth that mingled in her heart pushed her forward. Here we go, she whispered, feeling electricity pulse in her veins, excitement mingling with trepidation. In those profound moments, as they prepared to confront the person who had once shaped their lives, Ginger realized she was no longer just a girl longing for the past. She was stepping into her future, a path of courage, love, and unwavering resilience. She turned toward her family, her voice steady and clear. No matter what happens, we're in this together. And as the door opened, the feeling that enveloped them was more than just anticipation. It was the promise of connection, hope, and heartfelt reconciliation. They stepped inside the unknown, ready to embrace whatever memories, truths, and healing awaited them within this newfound chapter of their story. Together,